Evening to everyone. I'm joining you from Fiji, so I'm really happy for the invitation. Thank you so much. So I'm going to be talking about Digital Earth Pacific, a new initiative to bring infrastructure into the region to capitalize on Earth and marine observations for sustainable development. A recent report for our region has shown that we could add well over $1 trillion in value to our economies by 2030 if we collaboratively harness the potential of Earth and marine observations. 300 billion of this, the report states, could be chalked up to additional GDP contributions through industrial applications of EMO, Earth marine observation technology, and the rest is on services to consumers and disaster prediction and management, especially some of those things that Peter just mentioned. This means that we have to make really significant efforts in the Pacific to build our capacity to harness Earth marine observation and to use things such as artificial intelligence, data analytics, based on that the decades of freely available satellite imagery, so to grow the economies over the coming decades. And of course, if we do nothing, if we do not actively participate in the sector, then we will again widen the gap and fall further behind. So the potential is quite significant. And of course, you know, we have this exponential growth in satellite technology, and some call it the fourth industrial revolution. It's a way of describing that you know, the boundaries between physical, digital, and environment are getting blurred. So the changes that we are facing, especially in the Pacific through climate change, for example, which is an existential issue for us, means that the changes in the environment are happening faster than we can monitor or assess them, and let alone react to them appropriately in a sustainable way. So it's really the time now to build that infrastructure to harness those opportunities. So the way that we've done it, we've taken the concept, the idea about this Digital Earth Pacific to a number of countries, and they have expressed to us, to SPC, the Pacific community, the need for better access and capacity for applying Earth and marine observation data. And this is something that Digital Earth is really seeking to deliver. It wants to be this fundamental digital infrastructure that ensures that every nation in the Pacific has access to tools and technologies to better understand the changes to environment and people. And as we've seen, you know, it can bring decades worth of satellite imagery into the region and make it available in a decision-ready format so that we can routinely monitor and track things like flooding, food security, land use change, and things around disaster risk. So we've really taken a bottom-up approach, and we've gone to our member countries and asked them what they see as being important in this space, you know, to really have that user-driven assessment right from the very beginning. So we've had consultations with 4 countries, and we've produced this needs assessment report. The most recent consultation was with Fiji in March earlier this year, and we've come up with a list of tier 1 and tier 2 products or use cases. So if you look on the left-hand side, something that every country is mentioned is around vegetation, crop detection, coastline change detection, forest cover. Again, disaster management, disaster risk was mentioned numerous times, as was land use cover, mapping, and change. So these are the kinds of things that we want to deliver to the region, to our members, through Digital Earth Pacific. And of course, it has, you know, it's not the first time that someone is thinking about this. It's been done before. It's been done in Africa through Digital Earth Africa. It has been done in Australia through Digital Earth Australia. And here's a conceptual model on how they're doing it in Australia. So they're taking the raw observations from data. They're doing all the heavy lifting, doing the pre-processing, the geo-rectifications to have those analysis-ready data going into a cloud platform, a cube, a structured time series evaluation system to then derive decision-ready products. So if you look under the hood, you really see that Jupyter Notebooks, which was also mentioned earlier, is really at the center of this, where you have well-defined standards, you have computer code that can be reused, and it's really highly scalable, and it's of course all open source, so that everyone can have access to this and benefit from it. The infrastructure that we are currently looking at is a partnership with Microsoft and the Microsoft Planetary Computer. So they have this massive data catalog already. So access to petabytes of data is available in the cloud on the Planetary Computer. That whole ecosystem, all the libraries and everything is available for users to then build into the Jupyter Notebooks, into the computer code. And then there's this environment to process and analyze these massive geospatial data sets and then derive the products. So that's what it looks like under the hood. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time to give you examples. And also, we're, it's very much a prototype. So here's just one example where from an island of Ovalau in Fiji, where we've extracting shorelines and then building that time series and then doing a shoreline change analysis. And maybe one thing I can mention here is that, the gap is really with the availability of satellite imagery. For example, the capture of sentinel imagery is still sparse in the Pacific. So if Copernicus really wants to deliver in the Pacific, then the coverage of our islands needs to be reassessed and possibly improved. And this could also include the radar sensors and radar applications, because we have a lot of cloud cover in the Pacific. So that's just an example of some early minimum viable products that we are deriving through the Digital Earth Pacific initiative. Just a few slides on, the governance behind it. We have an interim steering group. I've mentioned we're working with 4 countries. So we've got RMI, the Republic of Marshall Islands, and Fiji, Tonga, and Vanuatu as our early champions. We're working with other crop agencies such as University of South Pacific, CEOS, NOAA, Geoscience Australia, GEO, and the World Food Programme. And our next steering group meeting is going to happen early next month, probably second week of next month. It's really all about co-designing and co-delivering the Digital Earth Pacific, and we are currently in the final draft of putting together a business case. We really want this to be inclusive. We've got multiple stakeholders on board. We need to build that strong engagement and that outreach. Once we've got some products up and running, then we'll test them and build capacity in countries and within SPC to deliver those products. And along the way, we want to maintain agile to that, exponential growth in technology and the new development in that space that's coming in. And you also see here the principles that we're working on, or under rather. So just a slide on where we're heading. It's a 3-phased approach over this decade, to the end of this decade. We are still in phase 1. We're still setting the foundation. We probably running on $100,000 at the moment, and we really need something in the order of 25 million euros to fully develop this over the next 10 years. And so we're actively fundraising to take us into phase 2 to increase capacity and uptake and engagement. And then obviously we're looking at operationalizing this and establishing a full data ecosystem with phase 3. And this is really my last slide, and I thank you very much for your attention. Do not hesitate to contact me. There's some, you can visit our site, you can look at what Digital Earth Pacific currently looks like, you can look at the Explorer, and you can find further information on the SPC website. So thank you so much for your attention.